Okay, so class 2. I got Carmen in the background. It's a little bit more wittier than most. Not quite Rick and Morty for the breakdown, but I did want to bring up a notation because it is applicable in universal field theory to apply this anywhere. An engineer Corbett, I'm looking for the information, honking the horn a little bit. Hey, I'll do the Democratic Fox thing, but there's a proper tone to it. Uh, when I look at, all right, so that's the game plan for what that is. When I've been in the mills before, there's a certain way to drop the topography over the net and gas every gremlin in the house. For me, there was a couple of them. I think I was posting a bunch of them about the college students. The same day the generals were like, "Hey, Army guys, we gonna do this," and you're all Red Bulled up, buddy close together, hugging on each other, and social distancing is the big problem. What happens when Sarge is in there? Done. The engineering of a sergeant is a lot of the times what the reporters and the other thing doesn't get, because you have to go through that form of the calculus. Under the area, there's a hedge fund adjusted system of the quantum operator timelines to get you there. That requires a little force. Little forces can throw up hotels because each cell program comes with a certain timeline of who designs the room of the main purposes. Obviously, we're stealing that from the doctors. IV, bed, toilet, shower, something. Well, maybe not even. But my point, little generator. So this breaks it down pretty easily about the first initial forces of the. I want to hear this more often, you guys' work, because hurricane problems are about first order, second order, and third order operations in gravity. Like you're looking at the case and four triangles down into the center point charm, but this is the bar. You have to know the equation I'm looking at, like the code of doing some of that material to break that down in that set. So the hotels, I'm throwing that big tent over it. Middle sections, obviously, the heart of this thing, and the neural sets are each individual distances, because then you can hub it from the middle and get the ladders. Prison systems are going to be good for this. Honestly, if and that's probably not where you want it to be, but college dorms, there's a network of, this is the CDC bubble in here. There's enforcements, and they have neural networks that T-cell and yeah, well, you have to go about the engineering under the physics of gravity, define the cost lines of what that is to hire, better the carbon footprint and global warming problem. And I did carbon footprint by bulldozer, just a big old wolf in the stone mill on snow piles, like tearing through rock out here, and the whole thing comes down. And that takes proper engineering of the timeline daily to reciprocals. The morning stuff can make huge differentials, like the back end of days. If you have to know the situational awareness of those boxes and calc times, that all kind of AI into that lens problem, laser focused higher orders of affecting that timeline over the scale, because it's real rocky in winter. What do? You wrap it. You're wrapping them more secure on physics across the board. Should be doing it anyways, unless you have the proper functioning where that's the adjusted model. That ramps up the speed, keeps the safety down to the analysis, makes people, the managers, efficient. Why are you doing that on the floor with them, training them system? That's slow time. We don't have accidents on the calculus about that timeline if it's done this way. It keeps your turn times. That becomes when I'm seeing the virus. As I'm trying to adjust that, my private model to do that. And a lot of times you find that in the people. Again, the master masonry of it all is a huge interpretation. I brought up a problem about gravity is the stone mill, not anybody in it. The second you have people integrated into your system, and really this does apply to people who don't have jobs. It's like, I hate to be when you can't apply to this system, you have to rely on another system to do that. And inside of those opportunities, there's insurance and timelines and things that take care of business. And so you got to just always be OP on those lines. Keep a timeline on the top end to cut down on the longer range of when you're up from 32 or 18 or 25 or whatever that game differential is going to be. Uh, Resources inside of that, proper efficiency tightens you down. 10-year stone mills against 2-year stone mills, there's a huge curve. You're still dealing with dump and pump problems and road crew dealing with the officers because it hasn't been settled about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable based on the safety standard of gravity. Skid steer ratings are all well and good until you put it into a stone mill, and then the serviceability of this thing that goes until this goes failure in the shop is different, based on a whole different weight. So one number, but this isn't here all day. And hotels like that, obviously a region under a school or a college campus is going to matter, and that's going to mass and effect. And it's like, well, I'll take this whole college, and you're going to be CDC today. This calculator, this program, world problems about fixing stuff and finding money with your little. It helps locally. The longer you spend studying this, when the math comes up, hey, Euler calc, Pawnee 4 bronze. You know, that would be the direction. I might be looking somewhere else, but on this one, this is where this bunny winds up being here because, well, food. I mean, that's the first bit. I mean, happy to do things for a lot of reasons. Hopefully, that forest is done wisely. I mean, at the point, you got to understand numbers. Got to understand numbers. Okay, so we'll put some more in it. I want to make sure we spend some time on this topic. In the stone mill, that gravity diverges. You know, you can write the equation. M1, M2 is saws and ground operations, quarry straight to sales, over R2. You know, any radiant, I mean, you're going to double it up that distance, wrap it back around like pi. 1 into the geometry, depending on whose class you're dealing with. Well, you have this, and then there's topography. There's local topography. Again, I like, this pencil a little bit. But, And if you notice over 2 of those increments, what was happening, you could tell the physics about that lensing or direction it's traveling and moving. Again, you know, taking pi, that whole distance, it starts at this middle point and stays there. And that's the farthest point away from that. And that's so that one effect against -1 pi, or -1 rational numbers in Euler's number. Euler's number, Euler's number, I, 1, I. You know, so you're taking all the positive. All right, it's positive because it's gravitational. It means everybody wants to do this for food calc, and then the other variation that does 1. And coronavirus right now is +1 calculations, the ones inside of the frame that are dictating the graph. And there are negative functions to that. Obviously, New York's physics is going to become our adjusted number to social group systems where we have to do things that positive number into what we're doing. And you get a lot into the Hadron Collider and standard model of 1, 0, high charm, low, bottom, of what this whole thing represents in the Z boson and W boson there. The way that topography can reference, given the vacuum problem, of being able to compress that in such a way that it reduces the time to the most efficient timeline that's necessary based on the overall reciprocals and quantum operators of that particle in group motion. And it's an air turbulence equation. You have a lot of negative affecting, whether it be joules for work in Maxwell's equations falling onto that specific spot, what do those angles look like now, given some of those other topographies in mathematics, whether it be the spin ones or you got all kinds of different ones that reference in Maxwell's. They have some stuff about all of the fields as much as, and the monopole it is more based to a non-local topography, like first order, second order, and third order. You're a Sawyer, but you're not an oil company. That's first order. We have second order operations that aren't everything in the stone mill sub-contained or overthought or blended through by pay scales and time and light calc, light bill. So those are first order. Everything you do can't break down any way you want, but you don't know how it's going. Rock coming in. You can't. You die. Yeah. You gotta have somebody. Tape measure. Yeah. Tape measure would be amazing. Just free up space inside of their teacher garage guy. Yeah. The garage guy just gotta play out this space right here. I want you to do it quick, coming up on turns, knowing that skid steer's coming around. You know that you want doing that. You don't necessarily have to be a giant. It's just little things in there. Usually, you're coming in hot, too busy, but they're better to see you highly motivated in that space, anyways. And then you adjust to get better. Once we have hotels and we figure out a hotel 8, right, and they're the ones, and I want that. It's regionally which one of those is the closest region to the outside source. Can I throw the tent over it? Do I have to put a post in this one? Are they all the same structural design that I can find in that region by New York's governor doing some research on thing because you Batman that day? Or you just in that play? You in the stone mill for that inventory guy, saw guy, they give you a little bone to do a few extra little bits on it, save that resume, get this thing going. We got that extra bit because your calc numbers while you were kicking rock were so awesome to figure you for everything out. Tracking it, at table notes. It's like shape of the rock, size of the cut you do, so that way they don't have to be like, oh, why'd you take that footer or that? You could have got that longer tread off this and made the twos on that because it was offset. But if you had a rough edge on it and they were all cracked, then you didn't know that. Like, where'd that rock go? Catch you on the next one.